You are listening to Show Up Arizona across the great and beautiful state of Arizona. iHeartRadio, Billy Harfosh here. My goodness. So the sound in your radio right now might sound a little different. You might hear some wind blowing. You might hear some birds chirping. You might hear some glasses clinking. We're not drinking wine, though, are we? I've taken the show on the road this week. We are in beautiful, one of the most beautiful places on earth, Sedona, Arizona, and I've got to give a shout out to Adam at the Creekside Inn. We are sitting Creekside right now. He's put me up in a beautiful suite. I encourage you to and by the way, this is not an endorsement or anything. I'm just saying it is a beautiful, beautiful place, the Creekside Inn in Sedona, Arizona. Having said all of that, while we are amongst a lot of beauty here, we have some important issues to discuss. You guys have heard me ad nauseum how important local politics really is in our country right now, from school boards to town supervisors to mayors. And I have a woman right here, Samaire Armstrong. How'd I do the name?
Pretty close.
Go,
yeah,
get it from me?
Samaire.
Okay, very nice. So Miss Armstrong is running for mayor of Sedona. I want to get into the woman first,
okay,
and then we'll get into some of the politics.
Sure,
so
yeah.
You have a very interesting story. Tokyo, Japan.
Yeah.
I mean, born in Tokyo.
Born in Tokyo.
Obviously, been on television.
Yeah.
You can look up her credentials, IMDb. We're not going to go through everything. You know, the
Yeah.
OC, everything. I know you from the Hanson music video, but that's a throwback.
That's awesome.
And you've done way more than that.
Yeah, no, that was a great video.
That was a great video.
Yeah.
And then, spent time in Hawaii, also a lot of time here in Sedona.
Yeah.
Fashion, the whole thing.
Yeah.
Point being, there's a lot of different paths, roads that you could go down as a young woman in your career. Why? And I interview all these people. Why get into this dirty little world of politics?
Oh, it's a dirty world, isn't it?
It's very dirty, and I think you're starting to realize that
Yep.
as every day goes on.
Yes, absolutely. And I mean, what it really comes down to is, as you said, local politics matter. After what happened in 2020, 2021, whether it be, the worldwide pandemic that we went through, and then just the state of our political experience nationally, but then also globally, the economics of what's occurring is, you get so riled up in a lot of ways, I think we have culturally, and ultimately, we're screaming from the rooftop for our side this, our side that, but like ultimately in our community, we are living here together in unity. We should be anyways. And the community is what we have the most impact on. And it's gotten so divisive. And, ultimately our neighbors are as important as, whatever side of the political spectrum we are on. Our neighbors are our most important asset in going forward in our lives.
Yeah, that's right. Well, educate me here about Sedona. Has it gotten, because certainly the valley is divided. You can look at the numbers in the last election. Has it gotten divisive, you use that word, here in Sedona? Because when I drove in yesterday, it's like, oh, this beautiful oasis. Like,
yeah.
The whole world is just kind of out there, and we're
yeah.
just in this different kind of playground that's beautiful. Is it still hot, heated here?
It gets to be on Facebook, but in real life, not as much. Yeah, it is interesting, and especially because again, I'm back to nationally, we're very divided. Even maybe in the county we are, in the state we are, but in our own city, our experience of division is based on something else. It's based on a quality of life issue. So our issues here aren't so much a left versus right. It's a interest for sort of a bigger profit margin versus the balancing our experience as residents. So that's really what I'm interested in, is bringing balance back to our into our beautiful little city.
All right. So before we drill down into that beautiful little city, I got to ask you. You came out. You supported President Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Right? That's no secret.
Right.
You made comments about like BLM and stuff. And I think it's kind of sad in a lot of ways that one comment or one thing that I say as a radio personality or you say as a public figure, when you Google the name, that's what comes up.
Oh, yeah.
And that's like, Google's a necessary evil, but that's kind of a bad thing. It's like, why should you be defined for one sentence of supporting a president or not supporting an organization?
Right. And it's interesting because that's essentially what, media comes down to, is what's the hot topic of this individual's existence. Fortunately, in real life in Sedona, there's an element of people who are very hung up on, like, I was questioned by someone on council just the other day, what's with you and Trump? And I was like, with me and Trump? I mean, I voted for the guy. There is no me and Trump, you know what I mean? And there's an element of human beings that believe that if you do one thing, it represents this finite belief system. And that's not how most people operate. And the younger generations see that. It's an evolution. I don't have some concrete belief system that is this and that's it. It's an adaptation. And voting for Trump was 2 years ago. I'm not hanging on to that. But the people who are asking me about this ideology that they think I have based on what their perception of that means, they do hang on to it. So fortunately, most people in Sedona are just interested in our local politics. And most people in Sedona are operating under the assumption of how we used to behave in pre-2020, in, say, 2019, where it's like, who cares who you vote for? That doesn't mean anything to me. It was a time when it wasn't as divisive.
Trump has certainly changed a lot of that. I mean, it's polarized it, for better or worse. It's polarized the whole system. Now, let's just drill down. Let's get right into the state of Arizona and Sedona. So I recently had in studio Carrie Lake. I'm sure you're aware of Carrie Lake and her campaign and what she stands for. And a phrase came up. I can't remember if she brought it up or if I brought it up. And that phrase, I'm sure you're aware of, is, "Don't California my Arizona." Now, I mean this as a compliment. Yeah. When I'm here in your beautiful region, I feel kind of like I'm in California in a great way, because California, as you know, has a lot of beautiful things about it. But politics-wise, don't California my Arizona. The question becomes, can a Republican be the mayor of Sedona?
Wait, what does that have to do with that? What is that? I'm not sure. I don't understand the two.
This feels very California. I feel very
Oh, I see what you're saying. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Hippy-dippy.
Yeah.
I
well,
like
just for the record, like, the party that I'm signed up with recently, by the way, is the Republican Party. I've always been an independent. So,
but you're a Republican now.
Well, now I consider myself a constitutional conservative, and and these names are so frustrating because, to me, that means one thing, but to someone on the left, that might be, based on their belief or the media, that means something else. I'm for individual freedom. I'm for having the ability to make choices for oneself, not deregulating from the big government. I don't think big government's good. So that's what I stand for.
It's kind of libertarian in a way. Some of those.
It's funny. So that's what I'm saying. That's what it means. Is like, words mean something to the individual that might not really apply to the piece. So
but
that being said,
at the end of the day, when people go to vote, they're going to see your name.
No, they're not. It's a nonpartisan race.
Okay.
This is a nonpartisan race. Okay. This is a real opportunity for unity to get back to the not like football team sides. Tribal. Yeah, we're over that. I stand to represent people in my community, both sides of the spectrum. I want to make choices on behalf of my community to the interest of what America used to be, freedom, right? Respecting one another's choices and rights. But beyond that's more of a state issue. Our community is something that we're not trying to polarize anything here. But that being said, you brought up the point of hippy-dippy. Most of the hippy-dippies are quote-unquote conservatives here. They're for freedom, which, to some might not really I don't want to go into political sides.
Well, you can go into it, because I used to think, like, I look at Bill Maher now.
Yeah.
Bill Maher is a self-proclaimed liberal.
Right. Well, that's the thing. A lot of liberals are like, well, the Democrat Party doesn't represent me anymore.
Right. Because
and a lot of people think that I've never identified with a quote-unquote Republican Party. I'm an individual, which is why I liked the idea of independent. But you have to pick a side to vote for one of them, so that's what happens.
That's very fair. Yeah. I appreciate that answer, because I wish we had more of that in our politics. Mm-hmm. But going back to the Bill Maher thing, like, liberals used to be really for freedom of speech, freedom of expression.
I know, yeah.
And now there's a little pushback, especially online, on Twitter and stuff. Mm-hmm. But that's for another show. I want to ask you about becoming a mayor in the state of Arizona. When I was covering Governor Ducey during the pandemic, it became very real to me. It became very apparent that whether you're a big city like Tucson or Phoenix, or a smaller city like Bisbee, it's important that the governor and the mayor can at a minimum communicate. Because when you have a state emergency, a national emergency, God forbid, another one, it's important that they can communicate and get on the same page rather than fighting via press releases and Twitter. Whoever becomes governor, and I don't know, have you endorsed anybody yet?
No, I won't be doing that. Yeah.
Fair enough. But whoever does become governor, do you plan to have some sort of an open dialogue, invite them?
Oh, of course. I mean, all of this, Sedona is obviously a very special place, and, people come here to do their press releases, public statements and whatnot. But partnerships across the board are essential to get anything done because we live in various counties. We live in 2 counties. We have to work with the state. We have to work with the Forest Service. We have to work with, there's all these elements that must be effectively collaborated with in order to sustain. So that's a key issue in terms of being able to build relationships in a really positive manner, regardless, again, of what side the frickin' political spectrum or whatever it is you're on.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's true. And I'm asking all the candidates that similar question because you have to say, I will at least at a minimum be able to extend that olive branch.
Yeah, and I think that's one thing that, I have been effective at for myself anyways. When I spoke out, it wasn't to claim a side, put a stake in my way or the highway. It was really about reaching across the board and saying, this is why I'm saying these things. And then, obviously the media takes it and turns it into something else. But I've been really effective at creating relationships with people who we don't see eye to eye, but we can communicate on why we see a certain way. And again, respect one another for those perspectives.
That's a beautiful thing. We need more of that in our politics. Really, in our everyday life, respect is a key word that the American culture, unfortunately, is getting away from.
Yeah.
So I used to live in Barcelona, Spain.
Excellent.
Beautiful city, incredible. Have you been there?
No.
Incredible place, overrun with tourists internationally, and it's one of probably the most popular place to visit in Europe. And the mayor at the time of Barcelona, she said something very famous. She said, this city, under my watch, is not going to become Disneyland. It's not. We need to protect and preserve
global.
Our heritage and our culture. Now, here in Sedona, this is not Barcelona, but you understand my analogy. How do you make sure that Sedona continues to grow and is this incredible international destination while also respecting the privacy and the preservation of its year-round local residents?
That's a really good question. And I don't know how you saw that much insight, how you got that, how you gauged that, but that's entirely what we're dealing with, everything down to the quote-unquote Disneyfication of Sedona, and it's a really delicate balance. And my family's been here for 28 years. We've gone from dirt roads, no sidewalks, to now these fancy, beautiful sidewalks and roundabouts, etc. I have a friend who came visiting from Colorado, and she goes, "It's such a great, it's like a tiny city." And I was like, "Oh gosh, that's not why anyone I know moved here." You don't like that. No. I think most people who are escaping the cities are moving here because of the city aspect, right? And the Disneyfication being, the shuttle system of shuttling people here and there and bringing more people in. And you said, use the word, how are you going to help support grow? And I think growth happens naturally, but we're in a limited amount of space and resources. We have to make sure that any growth that occurs fits within the infrastructure of not only our city, but the finite amount of beautiful, delicate, precious desert outside of our city in the county and in our forest, the national forest. There's a real danger occurring on the degradation of our lands, and that's because of the growth, right? So we have to find that pure balance. And for the first thing that needs to happen is we've put the idea of tourism in front of the idea that we're a community first. We are a community first. We didn't start off as a destination for visitors when Sedona came back here way back when. They settled the land, and then they grew the community, and then people came and visited. So we've put the cart before the horse in terms of aspiring to be able to make it more accessible to people. My philosophy is if we nurture our community and we treat our community with integrity, and I'm talking about the residents who live here year round or part of the time, and we give nurturing to that, then you go to, say, Barcelona, and you're like, I just want to feel the vibe of the community. I want to see what the locals live like. We don't have that right now. We have, I want to see what the Red Rocks are like, and then there needs to be balance. If we bring the balance back to the community when the visitors come and they experience the vibe, as it were. My dad hates when I say that. What does that mean? But the vibe, as it were, then you treat the community with dignity, then you treat the land with community. Because there's a big discord right now.
Beautifully said. Couldn't have said it better myself. Wonderful. We use the vibe word, and we're kind of getting into the clouds with it. Let's talk numbers. Let's see if I have this right. 10,000 residents, más o menos. Yes?
Yes, 9,700 allegedly, yeah.
Over 3 million visitors a year.
That's about right.
Okay, we're looking at
that's the higher end, but yeah.
Higher end, 3 million. So 10,000 residents, 3 million visitors a year. We're looking at roughly $1 billion of economic tourism impact, and we're looking at a budget of $112 million.
Oh, that's the bigger number that I've heard. The city budget that I just heard was $70 million. Well, they did just go through a new budget. Is that what you heard?
The new budget.
The
new budget.
The new budget.
Million. Do I have that right, Adam, of the Creekside? So, well, let's just.
Last year's budget was $70 million.
Let's work off $70 million. So you have 10,000 residents, a huge influx of tourists, obviously.
Yeah.
But they're bringing in $1 billion. That's a big money. Lots of tax revenue.
Yeah.
There. Do those numbers make sense to you? Going back to that comment.
In terms of spending?
In terms of spending.
So
does that square with you?
A large part of the spending, I can see both sides. A large part of the spending is on infrastructure right now. And if there were no millions of visitors, then no, that wouldn't make any sense, of course. But I wish we could slow down the pace of development. And I think in many ways we need to be more conscious with it because, again, this is a water issue. All of Arizona is experiencing a water shortage we're struggling with. We want to maintain the dignity of look, they have this word they pass around called sustainability. So if you're operating against yourself, if your primary purpose is to be sustainable, yet you're bringing in millions of visitors and creating infrastructure into this pristine, delicate location, that's going to really disrupt the sustainability.
Yeah, I mean, part of the reason talking to Adam why he loves this property, the Creekside Inn, is because of the creek right behind us.
Yeah.
That water flowing. So, having said all of that, if we take the money out of the equation, how do you detour tourism?
Well, you stop advertising, for one. People have short-term memories. I know. And look, everything that I say, you're going to have the naysayers say that, oh, we've tried that, we did that, or it's not happening, or that'll never happen, or whatever. I don't care. Right now, the Chamber of Commerce is marketing all over. It's not getting paid to do it. It is not doing paid marketing, but it's still marketing. Then you have the people on social media, right, who post pictures, beautiful pictures of Sedona. Why wouldn't you? I do it. It's natural. But two things. If we stop the efforts out, right, and allow there's this phrase, attraction, not promotion. And you attract from the right people for the right reasons. People come up here for the quaintness, the quietness, not for just like partying or whatever, although that happens too. If you put a conscious effort into doing the opposite of what's been done. So what happened was in 2008, we had that economic crisis, right? A lot of businesses went out of operation. We saw there was also a fire, and it was on national news that Sedona was out of commission. And so there's been an effort to bring people in. And then we pretend like that didn't happen, that wasn't effective. It was highly effective. They were really good at bringing people in. Congratulations. Now it's time to walk it back and create balance. And I don't mean in a way, and I don't want to jump on an effort to be the opposite, because if you be the opposite, then you're going to cause a collapse. So we have to take into consideration globally what's happening with inflation, happening with gas prices. Naturally, there's going to be a bit of a slowing down. Let's not continue to encourage growth when there's going to be a bit of a slowing down.
It's a bold statement, but I mean, this is your home, and actually the people that you're representing are not the people that are driving up from Phoenix. You're representing the people that live right here in Sedona, so I do understand that, and I'd imagine that would resonate with people, voters.
And the thing is, I'm representing residents, and that includes local businesses. So I'm not advocating to deplete one from the other. But what's interesting when I say I'm advocating for balance, a lot of the hoteliers are, okay, wait a minute, hold on, I need, it's like, no. So first, your reaction is identifying that the fact that we are in fact out of balance, right? Because if I said that and you didn't react, that it's triggering something. So you're but the idea is to bring the quality of life for the visitors up and let the rest fall into place. We don't want to put anyone out of business. I don't have the ability to put anyone out of business. Sure. I would never want to put, because those are our community members as well.
Yeah. Have you been to Scottsdale lately on a Friday or Saturday night?
Yes.
I mean,
yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Blast. Love Scottsdale. Love Mayor Ortega. Love Mayor Lane before that. But all of a sudden, I'm having a flashback, like similar conversations I've had with those mayors of like, how high should the high rises go? How many liquor licenses
and this is
go?
part of our ethos in that, there's strict codes that paint development structure, and now they've been amended thanks to this council to be 4 stories instead of 2. Now, if you look around, people are getting real estate for the view. You start popping up 4 stories, high density. That is not okay. That is not okay with the sustainability of our small city.
You're an interesting woman in that, and I don't mean this as a knock, but in that you're a freedom lover.
Yeah.
I can tell that just by talking to you for a couple minutes here. You're a freedom lover, personal freedoms. On the other hand, you understand the necessary evil of regulations.
Yeah, it's a challenge because it really is.
That?
And that's exactly what we're trying to figure out, because there's obviously property rights. But then before the property rights, there's codes and restrictions that we all agreed to when we bought into Sedona that have been here since the dawn of time. I respect law and order, and it's essential for our community's integrity because it devalues our houses around us when you build a 4-story apartment complex.
Just by the views alone.
Yeah.
Would you say that other people running for this office on the ticket have a different stance?
So yes, I'll specifically call two people who are running for mayor. They were the ones who voted in, one for sure. I wish I had my notes in front of me, but you can check their voting records. But voted in high-story apartments and high density apartments. I can guarantee you, so part of our issue here is when I go to local businesses, I say, what's your biggest, like, how could the city, or what do you need most in terms of support? And they're saying we have a workforce shortage problem, which I'm sure you've discovered is all over the frickin' country, world. Yeah. Yep. So, in Sedona in particular, and I'm sure Scottsdale and other cities are experiencing this as well, the short-term rentals have pushed many people out. But beyond just Sedona, the workforce that may have lived in other cities around us, they're experiencing that being pushed out as well because they short-term rental so they can come up here or go to the wine, whatever. So I'm saying, long story short, is that there's a need for housing. And traditionally, I wouldn't want city to get involved with housing issues. I don't have a lot of faith in government participating in people's housing. It can go awry. But on the other side of that, the people that come here, their ethos doesn't include moving into a 4-story apartment complex or an apartment. I've asked friends, how do you feel about, would you live in an apartment? I'd rather die than live in an apartment. I want a cob home on the creek, or, that's what Sedona's about. And my idea moving forward with this concept of sustainability is not spend more new technology, new bus transit system, Disneyfication. How do we get back down to basics? And we talk about diversification or bringing in what Sedona used to be about. Where are our indigenous people being incorporated into all of this? Why are we just going straight to the top? Let's buy into this new technology. How did we survive before all of these humans got here? That seems more sustainable to me.
Well, Ms. Armstrong, okay, so let's do it before we finish up here. A couple generalizations, if you may.
Please. Why not?
Day, people are going to go into that voting booth, or
yeah.
however you guys vote out here. Who knows how we'll be voting at this point? But they're going to want to know some generalizations about you. Pro or against Airbnb? You like Airbnb here in Sedona?
Well, here in Sedona, it's a real problem when corporations are buying up our houses, kicking people out, making a massive profit. I'm about balance. I like that the mom and pops are able to have Airbnbs, and there's good people of integrity who own Airbnbs here. There's good management companies that own Airbnbs, operate them, and have integrity for our community.
All right, fair enough. Fair enough. Beds. I like to talk about beds, as in hotel rooms, as in beautiful inns, bed and breakfast. Beds, tourism beds. Do we have enough? Have we hit the cap?
Oh,
More
man.
beds?
Well, I feel bad for people like you because the Airbnbs have now outpaced the beds from actual hotel.
And
and
speaking off camera here to Adam of Creekside.
Right.
So Airbnbs are actually a direct competitor.
Yes,
to the beds we're talking about.
absolutely.
So what do you think? More beds?
No more. I mean, look, not like an I heard a number recently in the last. I can't give you maybe. There's only been like 100 new or 200 new hotel room beds put into place.
Which is not a lot.
Not a lot. Let me just.
Don't worry.
Let me just see.
Do your thing.
Okay.
Yeah,
so there's a new hotel being built right over by Mariposa,
right.
And they took a lot of time and effort to keep the integrity of the land. They made these little little nooks of nests of hotel rooms.
So it blends in with the landscape.
They made sure it was really low and that it didn't disrupt the integrity of the view.
Okay.
So and they worked with the trees so that the trees wouldn't be.
That's the kind of thing.
Yes,
you get behind.
yes, absolutely.
I'm starting to understand your vibe a little bit more.
Yeah, I think there are businesses and hotels with integrity that understand the ethos of Sedona and want to maintain it. And then there's other people who just build boxes in the village, and that's not really what we're.
What about partying? And partying as far as music at night. I've talked to club owners and stuff in Scottsdale, and they say, man, I would love to own a place in Sedona. 3 million plus tourists coming every year with a lot of cash to spend. Are you anti-clubs, partying? Give us the
Okay. The figure is in the last decade, a number of 111 hotel rooms have been added. So that what I'm saying is they've been really restrictive on allowing growth of hotel rooms, and then along comes Airbnbs, right? And it's like it's like explosive out the wazoo.
So that's sustainable.
Because now there's 2,000 new Airbnbs.
2,000. Okay, so you got to do something to maybe reel in the Airbnbs. I want to get you on the partying though.
Partying.
Because like last night, it's like 10 o'clock, and I asked my host, like, hey, let's go out and let's see what's going on.
Yeah. We have a pretty strict code of shutting things down by 10 unless you can maintain a level of quietness.
You've been on the scene and stuff. Do you think that that's a good thing? You want to preserve that quietness?
Again, that goes with the ethos of Sedona. There's a big time limit for how late volume can go, but there are after hours places sprinkled throughout, and if you wanted to know about them, I'd be happy to share them. Yeah, for sure, there's a bunch of fun places. Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna finish up with this, and I do appreciate your time, and you're a fascinating woman. You really are. I get the opportunity to interview all of these politicians, whether they're sitting in office or whether they're running for office, and you are definitely one of the unique ones.
Oh.
I mean that is the utmost compliment.
That's very nice.
You're different. I mean, come on. If you went to campaign events, maybe you do, like in Phoenix or any of the state events, it's like everyone's, no offense, everybody, but everyone's kind of buttoned up, and they're afraid to say something, and they're afraid that. We're just sitting out here drinking some hibiscus.
Yeah, that was really good.
And just relaxing and having a real conversation. We need more of that.
Well, I think that people are sick of, and I've never wanted to get into politics. This is not something I saw in my future whatsoever. But it's important that normal people get in for the right reasons, or step up, I should say, for the right reasons, because that'll create a shift in our society.
God forbid this politics doesn't work out for you. God forbid. But we got to look at the future here. We got to be stoic. Are you worried that you're going to be? I hate to ask this, but blackballed? If you're up for a role,
I've already been blackballed.
Have you? I mean, seriously, because there's some huge actors, comedians, and we've seen a lot of musicians that are kind of like, they try to cancel Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
I mean, are you worried that, like, no, I need to make some coin, I want to get back into action? I'm making assumptions, but...
Yeah, no, I don't... I'm not worried. I'm also... I don't... I operate from a place of freedom, right? I believe in truth and what's right, and I think there's so much more at stake than just making coin nowadays. Our whole society is at stake. So if I think it's rather... I hate to use this word selfish, but if I see something and I don't speak on it, and I'm really, I guess, putting a call out to all the other entertainers in the world who have kept their mouths silent, that really, it's a disservice to all Americans if there is not the ability to speak freely on what's important. And it's not fair that, that you wouldn't be able to do that. And you shouldn't just do it for yourself. You should do it for other people as well. That was really the main thing.
Kind of calling out Hollywood in a sense, like speak up for yourself.
It's important. We're coming into sort of this two-dimensional existence where it's like, I'm just going to operate in this sort of safe zone because for fear of breaking the mold of what's allowed, and then I'll lose things. Like the more you play into that, the more that's going to be reality. Which is why it's so exciting to see you, because you are not beholden to anyone, and that's what it needs to be.
I'm not, and the goal is to
and
never be.
You're not in fear of losing something or an income, or you're just gonna. That's where people need to operate from.
As long as we have this, I mean, we just spoke a little bit. You maybe spoke a little bit bad about Disney. Disney's a big partner of us, iHeartRadio, and I don't care, because this is what we do. We gotta speak truth.
Truth. Yeah.
Speak truth.
Yeah.
That's all we have to hold on to, really, in our country right now, and I think that's on both sides. All right, this is what we're going to end with. And by the way, we could transition to tea right into wine. I don't know if you dabble in that, but we could go on for hours, but we're not going to, because I want to be respectful of your time. I hope this isn't the last conversation we have. In the Valley, in Phoenix, in Tucson, where this show primarily airs in Tucson and Phoenix, it seems like there's little micro details, little micro issues, but at the end of the day, when it comes to voting, people vote on the big issues. And I'm talking about global stuff like the war in Ukraine, trans rights issues, how people handle the pandemic, these major issues. Do gun rights, the Second Amendment, do those big macro issues mean a lot when somebody is voting for the mayor of Sedona? Or are they going to really be talking about kind of the inside baseball, the Airbnb, the number of beds, and those types of things? Yeah,
the global issues in terms of the economy affect us, but beyond that, that's not what we're discussing.
So you don't feel like you have to have a view on some of these bigger issues? Because I get a lot of people in my studio, and it's like, you're running for this. Why are you keep bringing up?
Right.
The reason is because that's what resonates with voters, because it's tribal.
Right. Yeah. I want to get away from that. I mean, if we are going to be a tribe, it's going to be the Sedona tribe, not our belief system versus your belief system.
That's a beautiful thing. I like that.
Unity for our community. That's my platform.
She doesn't take the bait, ladies and gentlemen, and I think that's a good thing.
Oh, good.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Show Up Arizona, Billy Harfosh, iHeartRadio. We're here at the Creekside Inn. We're about to transition from tea to maybe some vino here. It's almost that time, right, Adam? Thank you so much for being on the show, Ms.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Your social media, your website, everything. So
you could, sure. You can find me on SAMAIRE for mayor.com, or you can find me on Samaire for mayor on Instagram as well.
Beautiful. And if you're having trouble while you're driving, writing that down and spelling it, you guys know where to follow me, at Billy Harfosh. We're going to post a picture right now on Instagram. You can find this video also on Instagram, and I will tag her so you can all follow her and send her all your messages, okay? All right, bye for now.
Thank you so much.
We'll be right back after these.